don't know what to say. This is probably going to be one of the toughest weeks and one of the easiest weeks for the NBL playoffs. This is Sports Hour. Alright, so this week was probably the weirdest week and probably the most against. There are going to be rule changes starting next season due to several things that happened on this last week. Starting off, we had an easy Panthers versus the Hawks. Panthers won 3-0, scoring 373 points versus the Hawks, who were only able to get 290 points. The games were not needed passes, so that was at Bank of America Stadium. And the Panthers were able to win 3-0, and they will move on at home, playing at home against the Bulldogs next week. Fox and Bulldogs played. It was the Bulldogs who took the first two games. The Foxes were able to come back and win Game 3, but they did not win Game 4. The Foxes got eliminated, even though they were one of the best teams and were predicted to go all the way to the finals, or to say the bubble. The Cats got defeated by the Lynx. Lynx won all the games. Only by a few points, though. It was a fairly close games. First game, they only won by 1. Second game, they won by 10. Third game, they won by 1 again. So it was a ridiculously close game for all those games. Lynx were able to come out on top and won all 3 of the first games. So Lynx will be playing against the Bobcats. Now, normally the Lynx would not be playing the Bobcats. They're number 3, though. So Lynx would have been more likely to play a team that was good. But the Stars also lost in Game 5. The first 2 games went to the Stars. Then all the next 3 games went to the Bobcats. It was very interesting to see how that one worked out in the end. Bobcats did take the win, but they have done really well. Bobcats were 4th, so they were the lead of their division. Bobcats won against the Techs, who were lower seeds, not too much of a big deal. Then they beat the Stars, which was a big deal because the Stars were the 2nd seed. And so they're going to go and play against the Lynx, who are the 3rd seed. Lynx and Bobcats will be playing at NBL Stadium, and the Panthers and Bulldogs will be playing at Bank of America Stadium. These are going to be tough games. I think this is going to be probably one of the tougher ones. If we went back to, let me see here, have the, I don't know if I do or not. It's not really recent. Here. If you look at the playoff record, which I don't have yet, it's the Bulldogs, which we have, I think, made the playoffs 1 or 2 times. They've not made it very often. Let's see. Yeah, Bulldogs have actually only played the playoffs once, and that was with a losing record. They've made it this year. I haven't updated the 2023 ones because it does require all the games to be played. Right? But they made the playoffs only in 2020, which was the only time they've ever made playoffs, and that's pretty impressive for them to get to the finals. Panthers, on the other hand, have made it every year since 2013. And which you might think that's not really right because they have him, but they've made in 2006, made in 2007, made in 2009. All those were 2 seasons. That would have been the winter, spring. Then all of these are winter and spring. So they've done really well since 2001. Made it 16 times, actually 17 times now. Yes. So this should be a very impressive game for them. But the thing is, the Bulldogs are only 8-8, and that probably is not going to do well for them. The Panthers being first and third, being first overall. Bulldogs being 11th and 11th. So, I mean, it's not going to be a terrible matchup. I don't think it's going to be good. They're going to do well. I still feel the Panthers might lose one of these games, but they're not losing more than that. I have to have them going 3-1 with the Panthers winning 3-1. I think it's fair to give the Bulldogs one game, especially since they were able to win in Game 4 against the Foxes, which was a supposedly slightly better team. If we look at the Foxes were 14th and 6th, so they actually were worse than the Panthers. So I don't think it's going to be a Panthers. It's going to be a Panthers. They'll take it to the end. Lynx and Bobcats are the tougher of the 2 matches. Both these teams were 11-5. And if we go to the divisions here, the Lynx are 4th in offense and 23rd and 29th in defense versus the Bobcats, who were 22nd and 10th. So these are the really opposite teams in the context here. And this is going to be a very difficult battle. Now, the few things to note about their playoffs appearances, Bobcats. Look at the Bobcats. Bobcats have made it quite a bit, actually. They've made it in 2009. They made it both times in 2009. And both times in 2011. They made it in 2018, 20, and 22, and this last year. So the Bobcats have been doing fairly well over the last couple seasons. As for the Lynx, they have never made the playoffs because it's their first official season. It's not been, their playoff things have not been updated, so this could be a pretty interesting game to go for the Reds. And honestly, this is going to be tough. Bobcats have been there before, and I think the Lynx might have a slight edge, but I think definitely they're going to go to Game 5. I'm going to go for the Lynx winning 3-2. This is probably easily going to Game 5. But we'll see in the end. Then the last thing to refer to here is the few rule changes that are coming into play. Last week, or last chance, the Stars and Bobcats played until 5 o'clock. Yeah. Their game was started at 1. It was a 4-hour long game. They went to 8 overtime. So the new rules are being changed to this. Original rules were that in regular games, so regular seasons, it was you got 1 overtime and that's it. And for the tie, it's a tie. In playoffs, however, there was no rule on that, so you had to keep going. You kept going until someone was ahead, until someone won. The rule is that you get 1 overtime, and then you get a sudden death, basically. Each team will have a chance to score 1 point, 1-1, back and forth until someone misses, and that's the end of the game. It will not go to 8th overtime like it did before. I really don't know. This hopefully will never happen again, because these rules do come into play next season, not here. So these rules still technically apply. If the games do somehow end going to 8th overtime, I'm going to say it's going to be very sorry. Sorry for those teams. I want to thank you guys for watching this season. I think we have 2 more episodes left. We're going to have 1 more episode here for each of these games next week, and then we'll have 1 more final episode, which will be the NBL playoffs. And there is going to be 1 more thing to note: the NBL games. I think I've already got them already set up here. Let me just want to open this. Some of these games have already occurred. I think it's something to do. Yeah, so these games all are occurring this week. So in order for the teams to get in to these 16s, 13s, so on, they've got to win that game, and it's best of 1. This is for the World Playoffs, which is a little bit inaccurate because it's only coming to certain teams. But we'll see what happens with that. That is it for Sports Hour in this. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys next video. Don't forget to keep your game on, and I'll see you in the next video.